Hey guys, I've been working out. Not really. Man, that Gus Johnson, he's pretty funny. You see that Tabasco one where he's like, "Hey man, you got some Tabasco?" And he just comes busting in the door. Yeah, living some interesting times here. They're not happy times, that's for sure. A lot of unhappy people. A lot of sick people. A lot of trials. So, dang head. My head doesn't normally itch as long as I wash it with Dr. Bronner's and lemon oil. But I've gone a little bit too long. Anyway, so lots of stuff going on in the world. You know, the whole vaccine thing with Mormons, it's just it just drives me crazy. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, but I noticed today someone was mentioning about the yeah, I was just glanced at a book by Bruce C. Hafen, and he was talking about how the word of wisdom has saved a lot of lives. And I thought, we need a word of wisdom part two. But not really. I mean, we need a word of wisdom. We just need to follow it, because in the word of wisdom, it's a lot of Mormon lives are being destroyed now because of vaccines. And to me, it's almost like, as long as we're vaccinating our children, nothing else matters. But I know that's not true. I know that, we can have trials, and, we can have physical problems and stuff. But even if you're like a righteous person, if you have an autistic child, a lot of your energy and effort is limited. Um, I mean, personally, I think anyone who has an autistic child, like, one that needs a lot of attention, it's like, I mean, how can you do a church calling? I mean, I know a lot of people have autistic children, and I know there's differing intensities, but I'm just like, it's funny because the word of wisdom, the word of wisdom revelation, it came about just because Emma Smith just didn't like the smoke in the air. There wasn't anything going on like a health crisis, and yet we still got a revelation for health. but we haven't got anything since. And it's kind of funny because now we have all these autistic children. We have people in the church who are so sick. And Mormons, we in America especially, we are raised in a satanic society and a very wicked society, and we're brainwashed. Americans are brainwashed. We don't know anything about health. We eat the food of Babylon. Our bodies are determined by Babylon, which is Walmart. And so I'm not saying that the prophet is dumb or the leaders are dumb. I'm just saying it's weird for me personally that there would be no revelation, and maybe there would have been a revelation if we were interested in health. And that's weird for me to say. Like, I wouldn't have said this 5 or 10 years ago, but Mormons aren't interested in health, physical health. It's really weird. I mean, and what I'm saying is we got the word of wisdom just because it was like, hey, someone didn't like some smoke in the air. Like, literally, that's what I think that's literally how we got that revelation. Like, someone didn't like some smoke in the air, so Joseph Smith, yeah, had a revelation. Well, I don't like kids having autism. I don't like people having cancer. So can we get a revelation? That, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I know it's more, that it goes in more than that. And I know it goes into, well, if we really read the Book of Mormon, if we really were righteous people, I'm pretty sure we would have been led to know about the word of wisdom. Camera's all weird. Weird. Okay. You don't need to see my face anyway. It's kind of pointless. But we're getting the poisonous food. We're getting the vaccines. It's like, Mormons were just like, yeah, give it all. Give it to me. Give me the pizza. It's like, I mean, what can we do? I mean, what can we do? I mean, of course we're going to vaccinate our kids, because we don't know anything about health. We don't know anything about how the body works. You can't vaccinate a society that knows health. Because they would know, like, well, if you want to prevent the flu, eat raw garlic, eat raw onion every day. I mean, if you want to prevent sexual disease, eat healthy, eat fruits and vegetables, get your essential oils, get your minerals. And it's just like, it's almost like vaccines can only happen to a wicked people. If does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Like, I couldn't be vaccinated because what could they say? Well, you need to prevent the flu. Well, I know how to do that. Well, you need to prevent sexually transmitted disease. You need to not get what's the one where you step on a rusty nail? I forget. You need to prevent rabies or whatever. Well, if I get bitten by the dog and I'm afraid of rabies, I'll take turpentine. I'll mix some turpentine and some milk or some sugar, and I'll drink that. I'll take hydrogen peroxide. I'll do other essential oils. It's just. And here's the weird thing, like, Mormons are so dumb, and I'm talking about myself. Like, I was so dumb. It took me dying or almost dying. I had to choose natural healing. So I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do in the Mormon church. And to me, I'm just like, we have all these kids in Utah that have autism. And autism is recent. And we're supposed to be like smart people and have discernment and we're educated. And it's like, you know what? We don't know anything about health. I mean, we have fun. We enjoy eating pizza and bread and but we're brainwashed just like the rest of the world because we're in the world. We're in the world's schools and the schools are stupid. What does a male want to do in his teens? What is he designed to do? He's designed to be outside working on stuff. He's designed to be building stuff. Like I always thought it was weird, like a man doesn't, especially a young man, doesn't like sameness. Like he doesn't like having to wake up every day and go to school. It was like really depressing. I mean, yeah, you can go waste your energy on sports, and I mean that, waste your energy. Like sports is so dumb if you think about it. Like I was really into basketball. I think, man, it would have made so much more sense to do physical things, but things that actually built something or like forget sports. Like F sports. Like, all right, we're going to have things in the school that are physical. Like we're going to have like a group that goes and builds homes for the homeless. We're going to have groups of the strongest kids in the school. How about we don't go and compete with, I know this is like way off topic here, but how about we don't go and compete with other schools? How about we go and build stuff for the community? You know, it's like if you think about all the time in America that's been wasted on sports, it's actually crazy. I think I wasted a lot of my life on sports. Oh, but it creates, oh, but it does this for you in the future. Oh, sports does this. It's like, oh, please. No, it doesn't. Like, sports is the biggest time waster. If you want to be, if you're physical and you're strong, go help. Go be a mechanic. Like, think about it. Like, they could say, well, you're too young, and it's like, well, who did that? Who made it so you're too young to work? Like you're a strong young man, go work. Don't go to school. Go out in a farm. Go learn how to work a farm. Go, we have this thing in the world, where it's like, well, when boys are teens, they gotta go play basketball, go throw something in a hoop. And it's like, and then when they're done, when they're out of high school, they don't have any skills. They don't know how to farm. We don't know how to work on engines. If you think about it, like, school would be cool to split up where it's like, first of all, they should just let kids do what they want. Like, do you want to learn math? No. Okay. Like, what the heck? It's like we're scared of the youth. It's like we're scared, like, well, if you don't want to know math, do you realize what would happen to society? And it's like, well, what would happen? It's like everything we learn is out of fear. Like, oh, you don't want to learn physics? You don't want to learn math? Oh, are we really that afraid? I mean, can't we just let those who want to learn math learn it, and physics, like, okay, well, it's a small number. We don't want to keep that number too small. So, okay, well, whatever. But anyway, so for me, I think it would have been cool, especially because I have memory problems and I had concentration problems. I think it would have been really cool to have like a, okay, well, on Monday, well, I'm going to this place where I can just take apart a car. or I'm going to just do this job. I'm going to go follow a guy around like doing drywall, or I'm going to go to a lawyer's place, and have a lawyer see how a lawyer does his work. It's like school hours could have been used so efficiently. It's not even funny how productive school hours could be. I literally had a physics class, and this is funny. So I signed up for physics, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm getting ready. Okay, how can I cheat? I mean, there's no way I was going to be able to pass a physics class because I don't know math or anything. And I was just like, yeah, well, this is gonna be, it's gonna be so hard. I'm gonna have to at least spend time on this. And I kid you not, I think the first day, it was either the first day or the first week, to walk in and the teacher just puts a movie on, and it was like Star Wars or something, and just went on the whole semester. It was like, it was weird. I mean, was the teacher lazy? I mean, that's neither here nor there. I mean, the school system knows that this is going on. And I'm thinking, like, this is such a waste of time. Like, I'm a young person. Like, it's the middle of the day. Like, I could be learning something. I could be out in the world. I could be out with a park ranger learning about wilderness stuff, or I could be at some job. And that was weird. I remember how weird that was. But school, at least my school, was a bunch of garbage. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who still have so getting back to, and this gets back to Nephi in the Book of Mormon. Nephi knew how to hunt. So here's what I think would be cool, is that every school, you learn how to survive all by yourself in the world. I'm talking like you're in the wilderness. How empowering would that be? Like, Nephi knew how to make metal tools. He knew how to hunt. He knew how to dress the food and stuff. Anyway, the animals. Crazy stuff, man. But so my conclusion is that American schooling is purposely meant to keep you dumb and dependent. And you're never going to get a class that teaches you about health, like real health. You're never going to get a class that teaches you about cures for cancer and cures for diseases that are written down, proven in books. You're not going to learn about the Gerson therapy. You're not going to learn about Dr. Gonzalez healing cancer. You're not going to learn about all these people in all these places. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's a crazy world we live in. But anyway, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what Mormons are going to do, because we're so entrenched. We're so bought into the system. There's so many generations of people in the satanic system in America. There's so many generations of military, for instance, education, medicine, that we've kind of sanctified the satanic system. We've kind of sacralized a military. We've turned the military into, well, this is God's military, and we're fighting for freedom. And I mean, Spencer Kimball disagrees. There's a few people who disagree. Benson would question some things in the military, but I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's obviously divisions in the church with views towards medical and military, but it's like it's crazy, man, because like it's so weird. Like it's weird to be a Mormon right now. And I do like the focus of the church right now in the sense of like, okay, just focus on Christ. Like forget your job, like forget what's going on. I mean, even with the youth, like the prophet's like, hey, freaking get off social media and just do family history work, like, and I understand that part. Like, it's almost like people are so entrenched in the military and in their job and in their industry, and they think because they're good and they're Mormons that the industry they're in is good. Like dentists, like how many Mormon dentists do you know that mercury fillings are poisonous? I don't know. um, so so in that sense, we're like a really cursed people because we don't question things. We're just kind of closed-minded, and it's just crazy, man. And we live in a time of deception, and the Lord said, even the very elect can almost be deceived. How does it go? That even the very elect. And I'm thinking like, well, this isn't a church of very elect people. Like, this is the church of average people, elect, very elect, inactive. It's like a wide range, and it's like, because we're not all very elect, the church has been deceived about vaccines and wars. It's like we had a chance as Mormons to kind of be this insulated people where we could be in America and we could kind of like not be so into certain professions and stuff. But I'm really sad for families that have vaccinated children. Because I think Satan adds more poisons to the vaccines that go to Utah. So I think people in Utah get poisoned more than other states, and that's why. And it could be, and it can also be like they try to get Utahns vaccinated by scaring them and doing stuff like that. Utah's crazy, man. I mean, but it's all in the scriptures. I mean, if you think about what God thinks about the way society works. So if you went and read the Book of Mormon or the Doctrine and Covenants about, we already know what he thinks about society in general, but if you can actually learn about what God thinks about how society does things. So forget it being evil or anything. You could just think there's so many times or verses that say the wisdom of man is foolishness to God. So like the wisdom, it's wise to vaccinate because it prevents people from getting the flu and spreading the flu to each other. Well, to God, that's foolishness because God's wisdom is like, well, eat healthy. And specifically, if you don't want the flu, take some raw garlic every day. I mean, there's 100 things you could do. You could take. I mean, you could take raw garlic, raw onion, ginger. It's just endless what you could try. You could even do hydrogen peroxide. You could do turpentine. So that verse makes sense because the wisdom of man is like, well, yeah, you got to put a vaccine in you. And then God's like, well, that's foolish. Like, do you understand how the body works? Sometimes we need to realize that we can think of God like just another human. And his wisdom, our wisdom is just foolishness to him. And he would just be like, well, here's a better way. Here's a way to prevent the flu without killing your children. Here's a way to prevent the flu without having long-term, lifelong damage, The wisdom of men is foolishness to God because the wisdom of God is either not known to man or it's foolish to men. God might say, hey, well, you're worried about your kid getting the flu? Well, first of all, why? Getting the flu is good because it increases your white blood cell count. It's actually good to get high temperatures sometimes. Sometimes it's not these days because our children are so unhealthy that they can't handle it. But it used to be, you get the flu. Okay, well, it cleans you out. It kind of strengthens your immune system. So it is kind of dangerous. It can be dangerous nowadays, but what? And so you're gonna get vaccinated, and then the ingredients in the vaccine damage nerves. The ingredients in the vaccine mess with your hormones. And they do it in such a way that they can actually mess with your sexual orientation. I don't know if that comes from the mother or after you're born, but vaccines can cause same-sex attraction. I don't know if it's a generational thing, if it can come from your mom because your mom was vaccinated, or however it was. But if you can just type into Google about an Italian scientist who talks about mercury, and there's mercury everywhere in our environment. I mean, what are we going to... I think the first thing we do to get rid of mercury in the environment is just stop injecting people with vaccines and to stop mercury fillings. But that's crazy, man. It's like this world's over. I don't know what path the church is going to go down. I mean, the healthy parents, the parents who have autistic children, how do I say it? The parents who have autistic children, your life's done. I mean, that's 24 hours a day. You're not going to be able to focus on too much. I'm not saying you can't have happiness in your life, but here's the deal. We can have happiness in our lives, but our children can't live life. They can't, their brains are damaged by the mercury. And it's not just the mercury, there's like other ingredients, but that your children are damaged, and it's not your fault. It's not. Some children die from the toxins in the vaccines. And if you think about it, if vaccines are evil and if they're satanic, then they would obviously have some batches that have more poisons than others. They're not just going to equally distribute it and then everybody just get autism or whatever. They're going to be smart about it. And like I said, I think in Utah, I have this conspiracy theory that in let's see, in Utah or whatever, it's like I think they do more. I think they have more vaccines. And it's funny. Think about this. Like think if you were a Mormon, you're like, well, where's the research or whatever? It's like, well, think about it. The government is injecting something into you. Like, if there's one thing that the Book of Mormon would probably tell you to do, is don't let the government stick juice into your bloodstream, like straight into your bloodstream. Like, Nephi said, ironically, he used the symbol of the arm. Ironically, he said, don't trust in the arm of flesh. And it was one of the scariest phrases in the Book of Mormon is he says, cursed is the man who puts his trust in the arm of flesh. Cursed, there's nothing worse than that. Like, there's nothing worse than cursed. Like, you think of like damned or damned or cursed, cut off. Cut off is more of like cut off from God, but cursed is like a state of like no joy, right? No life, no happiness, cursed. Like, cursed is almost like you have a burden that isn't going away. And I realized that could be more of a spiritual thing. Ultimately, a spiritual curse is the worst curse because that can last forever. But if you think about it, it's like he's seeing our day, and maybe he didn't see vaccines, I don't know, but it's like he's saying, you know what, you put your trust in the arm of flesh, bad things are going to happen to you. It's like if a woman marries an abusive man, like knowing he's abusive, then she's going to have a cursed life. But if you're trusting the government so much, and here's what's sad, especially as a Mormon, is like, the history of the government. The government's evil. And vaccines are government. Don't try to think, well, it's the medical industry, it's the scientists who care about us, it's the doctors. No, it's government. You're taking the government. They have this vial full of stuff. Do you know what's in that vaccine? You just trust them. You just trust the government. And this is where we are in the Mormon Church. It's full on trust. It's full on trust of the government. And this is how far we've come since 1847, whatever. 1843, whatever. From total separation from the government. The government's evil. They're killing us. To the year 2000. And it's like, it's the full opposite. It's like we left Iowa, Ohio, whatever, get away from the government, and then we went slingshotted back. It's like a slingshot. And I know there's reasons for it. We're part of the country. I understand all that stuff, but I'm just saying, we take a vial. Do you know what's in that vial? I mean, I can understand if you're taking it yourself, but you're taking a vial a shot, a needle. You're taking a vial. You do not know anything that's in that. And you're putting it in the most precious thing in your life. You're putting it in the most innocent thing, and you are the protector, and you are going to live every day of your life for that human being, that child. What are you doing? Being brainwashed, being trusting of the government. Whoever puts their trust in the arm of flesh will be cursed. And so we have this curse of autism in the Mormon church in America, because the world is putting their trust in their governments. And here's the funny thing. Who cares if there's terrorism? Who cares about Hitler? So we go fight those wars. We go fight terrorism, whatever. But that doesn't have anything to do with the government being good. It doesn't mean that the government is good. Like, who cares that we have an enemy? Oh, who cares if we can go win the war? Oh, we went and won the war. Like, okay. Are we better people? Are we spiritual? Are we good? It's like, it's weird, because it seems like the more wars there are, the more that our country defends us, the more we trust the government, and the less we trust God. How many battles do we fight in life with God on our side? How many battles do we go through with him? And it's just bizarre, you're like, oh, I'm gonna put a vial into my precious baby. What can you say? Your kid has autism. Well, what do you expect? You put 30 vials in your brand new infant, your baby that doesn't even have an immune system. Your baby doesn't even have the biology yet to deal with that kind of poison. They're putting straight poison into your baby. Well, we don't want your baby. Do you know why we're putting this poison in your baby? Because we don't want them to get sexually transmitted diseases. Or whatever, the flu or the measles. And it's like, okay, do you realize that people used to purposely get the measles to strengthen their bodies, to strengthen their immunity? Oh, man. I get to the point sometimes where I think, forget the physical. And I like that part of the church, where it's like, forget the physical, man. We failed in that. Like, there's a few people that are healthy in the church, but it's like, let's just focus on the spiritual. Let's just get ready for heaven. And, because I don't know. That's just one way I see it. And, yeah, because you can't be putting vials into your brand new baby. So we failed a lot, in the church. We don't know how to take care of ourselves physically.